I've just pressed the record button and I'm not sure if you are ready for this video. When I speak, atoms, they line up for me. This is how you create reality. This is how you manifest with words. And in this video, I will tell you how to command change, how to look beyond all your problems, and how to really start manifesting. Because manifesting was how the universe was created. And I'm going to tell you about it, how everything you see was once a word and how you can use that to your advantage. So let's jump on the iPad right now. In this video, we're going to be talking about how everything is words, how to command change in your universe, affirmations, what are they, and how should you use them? Are they even valuable? And very importantly, common problems. What to do when reality does not reflect your choice of words. Let's say you want to be rich and it's not showing. What's wrong? I will tell you in this video. But first off, let's start with some quotes as we always do. Stick around. This is very important. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Right? That's from John 1:1-3, the New Testament. Very important sentence of reality creation. This is the very beginning of it all. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. How does that make sense? Let's go on. Later in John 1:14, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Very important. Remember these, all right? And then we go on to some Quranic counterparts. His command when he intends a thing is only that he says to it, be, and it is. Kun faya kun. And then we talk about the word again, but only in the Quran it's called the pen, so the writer of the word. Noon, by the pen and what they inscribe. And from a very famous hadith, the first thing Allah created was the pen. He said to it, write. It said, my Lord, what shall I write? He said, write what is to be until the day of resurrection. I almost get goosebumps. This is so very powerful. Maybe you don't need me to explain these, but let me do it, and then you can follow along. Why is everything words? And where did it start? Right. And I'm here to tell you that I think the universe is expanding because we think it is expanding. That's the vocabulary we use, and therefore it manifests. And everything that once was just an idea is now here, and that will continue being so. We will just continue expanding in the direction of our words. So everything is words. And I will start with point number 1. What does that mean, Chris? Right. In the beginning was the Word. And let's say that you were born, right? And your journey, if you put it down into this little book, started with a word. Mom or dad told you something. Big, right? You're going to be a big boy, whatever, right? And you expanded in the direction of big. And another person said it, and another person said it, and another person said it, and they assumed it on your behalf, so that's why they manifested it on your behalf. That assumption came true because it could not be in another way. Right? So they just kept on expanding. And then they said something else. They started saying, bright. He's a bright kid, right? And then you kept on expanding in that direction. And some people said it. And they also said some other words. Right? They also said sweet, right? And then they started saying troublemaker, right? Follow along here, it's very important. Troublemaker. And those words just kept on expanding the consciousness that you are. They expanded it up until the age of 6 or 7 on your behalf. They kept on expanding your world, created it for you with words. And that's why that we needed to start with these quotes, so you recognize this expansion was started a long time ago. A long time ago. And it will continue. And it will continue expansion in the direction that you put down into your book of life. And you can see how this goes, right? And you can see how this right here, this is actually one big ball with a lot of polarities, where we have, I don't know, sweet, and we have trouble, right? And we have high, and we have low. I don't know, tall, small, right? Maybe very closely to tall and small. And we have all these polarities. And this is the entire universe that I just drawed out. And in that, we have infinite dimensions of ways to expand with words. I know this is complex, but this will make sense in a few minutes. So we have a polarity that's tall and small. We have a polarity that's rich and lacking. And we have ultimate polarities that you can expand towards a direction. And when you start expanding in that direction, you will see more of that expansion, right? You'll get more words to include in your expansions, and that will escalate, that like it always does. Manifestation really escalates. If you believe in manifestation, reality creation, you will see more of it, and then you will see more of it, and it will start working, and you will see more of it. And if you see lack, you will expand in that direction. And you will say a word lack, you will say a word bill, and it will continue expanding in that direction. So you can continue expanding forever, right? So everything is words. And everyone that is now someone, they were once no one. And they kept on having that dialogue with themselves that ultimately led them to where they want to be. And I'm not talking about words only. So when I say words, I actually mean multiple things. I mean words like in spoken words. I mean internal dialogue. I mean intention. So thoughts, we could call it. And we could continue. We could say emotions. We could say the way you walk. We could assume that everything you do is an intention of being, right? That is the expression of being is a word. That is the creative power you hold as a human being, right? So all of these things, they become existence if you can continue expanding in that direction. So what happens sometimes, and what is it that I call part-time manifestation? Now we are on to point number 2, how to command change. Oh. Well, Neville Goddard calls it the bridge of incidents, right? And I'm here to tell you that it's inevitable that you will get what you want if you continue expanding in that direction with your consciousness. You will see it as ultimate dimension, like infinite dimensions you are inhabiting at the same time. And you are always in the middle of your own universe, and you can continue expanding in the direction you choose. And if you continue saying struggle, you will expand in that direction. If you continue saying not struggle, the opposite word of whatever that is, ease, you will continue expanding in ease. But what happens? I'll say how to command and stop part-time manifesting. Right? What happens is that you are here and you are saying the word rich. I hope you get this. You are not saying rich. You're saying that you want to be rich. You're setting an intention, and your vibration is at that moment. Okay, I know rich. Let me focus on rich. Esther Hicks would say, be more focused about what you want than what you don't want. Right? This is exactly it. This is how your words, your internal dialogue, create your life. You will say rich, and you will move on, and then you will say doubt. Yeah, it's not showing. Right? Doubt. And if you saw that as a map, you would be instantly be like, oh, wait a second, I don't mean it, right? You would call it back, but you can't. You can't call it back, but you can expand in the direction again that you want. All right. So if we say you are right here in the middle, and you took one step towards rich from your current position in the universe, and you then took one step towards doubt. Back again. You are back at square one. Well, then we would expand again, and we would say rich again, and then we realize, okay, I like rich more. I like where I expand to when I say rich all the time. It actually shows me abundance in my world. It actually fuels my emotional level. So I will say rich again, right? And I will say rich again, and I will say rich again, and I will say rich again. And down here, right, is what you're looking for. And this does not only apply to money, right? But hopefully you get this very simple idea of how to actually command change. It is that you don't ever have to doubt what you're saying. This is actually the bridge of incidence, where you stick to the knowing, and the knowing is your internal dialogue. So you keep on expanding in the right direction. And what actually removes the bridge of incidence, as Neville would call it, is the doubt. Why? Because that's expansion in the opposite direction. Hopefully, when I put it like this, I'm trying to make this very simple, so easy that you can just do it today. Realize, okay, am I implementing words? Am I creating? Am I casting spells that I would like to take back? Do I need to be more careful about my vocabulary? And I want to include a point here, how to command change, is then you can also realize why Scripture, every religion, Neville, why they all tell you to think highly of other people. Because when you say others are poor people, you are including that in your expansion level. You're simply pointing consciousness, awareness to a word that you would not like. And you should be very careful, because if that person does not agree, then maybe you can keep that expansion, right? I don't mean that literally. You don't have to be careful. But you can say, so okay, my expansion should also include other people. If I keep on saying rich about other people, I'm expanding in a direction where I believe abundance to be overflowing, right? So that would ultimately, when you realize the power of your words and your internal dialogue, make you also a better human being, which is maybe the most important thing you can do. Be kind to other people. Realize that they are also, same as you, an extension of God, having amnesia at the same time as you. You are both trying to remember that you are powerful. All right? Yes. So how to command? Well, the basic sentence of that point 2 is, well, you command change by realizing that in that first moment of change in your perception, in that moment of change in the words you speak, you command that change, because you expand only in that direction with your words. Look at that map you're creating. Look at that book you're writing, your book of life. Every word you say, every thought you have, you realize, okay, I have important decisions to make today. Okay? So let's say you have a family fight over a business, and you say, but I struggle with my brothers. Okay, let's expand in that direction. And then you would say, so I have a wonderful relationship to that. It would mean that you expand in that direction. And you could tell me, but I don't see it. Okay, let's expand in, I don't see it. And they'll say, but how can I see it? Let's expand in that direction. I doubt it. Let's expand in that direction. And you can see how this is the same thing I always tell you to do. Go back to the one state that creates the reality you want, the state of already having it, where you expand in the direction of what you want, and you continue, and you continue. And when you see the opposite, then you have an important decision to make. All right? So, 3 affirmations. This leads us to affirmations. How to say them? Affirmations. How to say them, when to say them, and what are they? Well, we should stop calling it affirmations, right? Because they are not affirmations. What do they? They are directions, or as I like to call them, reminders. And why do I like to call them reminders? Because your state of being, your internal light, you being an extension of God, having consciousness within you, having God within you, is all of the things you want to expand towards. So you're reminding yourself to keep going in that direction, which means you are reminding yourself that you can get it, which means, because we only have one place and time, the present moment, that you are it already when you start expanding in that direction. It means that your knowing now, your words, your internal dialogue, is aligning you with the timeline you want. The whole universe starts to rearrange in your favor of your expansion. So you are expanding in that direction. So it's a reminder of where you're going. And you're not going anywhere, you only have one moment. Right? You just get to experience it. So in that moment of expansion and direction, that's it. But what you have to keep on doing is know that expansion to be the right direction for you. And you can feel that. You can feel your way to the right expansion for you. Does it feel good? Keep going. Does it feel bad? Stop. So you can tell me a sentence. Chris, I struggle with money. And I can ask you, how does it feel? It feels bad. All right. Then you're lying to yourself. You're expanding in a direction you don't want. This is incredibly powerful. This is underneath manifestation. This is the level of, I don't know. This is the beginning. This is where you take control of your life from today on. Hopefully, you see that. So these are reminders. And what I'm trying to say is, so it does not matter what affirmation you say. It matters that you choose to say the expansion or the direction of your expansion which you want. So what do you want? Where are you going? Exactly as Esther Hicks would say. What do you want? And how do you keep on wanting that? Right? Instead of what don't I have? Right? That's actually the expansion that you need. Just keep on going in a direction, knowing it will happen. That will turn around your internal dialogue. So it won't be about how can I be rich? I see bills, I don't know what to do. Well, all of that expansion is in the direction of the infinite possibilities you have of expansion. But we always have a choice of these polarities. That we can choose between the two poles. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to go? Right? And you'll pick directions, health, and sometimes it escalates in the wrong direction. You see struggle, and you start having that as an internal dialogue. I struggle, and you manifest. It's like saying in the mirror, I'm ugly, right? Stop it. And then you expand in the opposite direction. I'm beautiful. I never struggle. And if you don't want to use the word struggle, then you can say, I always get it as I want. Every action is perfect. Right? So these affirmations, know them to be true when you say them. When you say I'm beautiful, you can actually feel that in your system. Well, now I'm expanding in that direction, that's why it feels good. And if it feels bad, it's because I have an emotion telling me, no, you don't. You don't believe what you're saying. That's internal dialogue. That's also expansion. So then you would say, okay, I have a decision to make, not to listen to that internal dialogue. But internal dialogue is only me speaking words that unconsciously. They're just coming up in my system because I'm so used to expanding in that direction. I'm so over in that expansion area where I see a lot of that, confirming what I have just manifested. So it's really time to go back, right? Let's just draw that down, because that's actually important. That if you manifest towards bad, right, you will see more bad. So you'll have plenty of reasons to keep on expanding in bad, right? And that's what expansion means. It means it becomes bigger, right? So what do you need to do to release bad, to expand in the opposite direction? That's the only solution. And to forgive yourself. It's always you are the center of the universe. You can actually start today and say, oh, that expansion, I don't want it. And you can deflate that balloon, right? You can really take a sharp object, really poke a hole into this balloon of bad, right? And say, I will start continuing expanding in the opposite direction. And yes, this drawing might tell you why you're stuck, or it feels like you're stuck, because you see so much bad stuff that you expanded tremendously in that direction. And you will know, well, reality is dying because I'm expanding in the direction of good right now. And obviously, maybe I don't see it yet, but I will very soon. And the more I know it to be true, the quicker I'll see it. Because the more rapid my expansion will be in that direction. Yes. Common problems. Let's talk about it. And this is, I think, the most important part. Important part of this video. Sorry. Common problems. You can tell me in the comments if I'm correct, and you can tell me your common problems in relationship to reality creation. How do you manifest? But one of the common problems is delay, obstacles on the road. It could be trauma. And what you will then realize is that when you, let's talk about this because it's so fascinating, that when you expand your consciousness in infinite directions at the same time, more than you are capable of knowing with your brain, at least, you occupy places, you expand in certain directions, so you are this being. And if I had to draw it, it would be like this weird drawing of expanding in a multiverse. You would not be able to comprehend that statue of you expanding and twirling, right? But you keep on expanding in all directions. And the areas where you have expanded previously, where your parents expanded on behalf of you, you will have that expansion. And it doesn't matter. But what matters is that it will show up in the present moment. And you will call it nervous system regulation, trauma, shadow. You will call it all words. And that word will expand in that direction. So you will have an important decision to make. Maybe I should meet that shadow in the present moment. But from your book of life, I will say, okay, this is you. And you say rich, right? And you say rich. And you say rich, right? And then you say rich, but then you meet a wall, right? And that wall is an area of expansion that your consciousness knows very well. Because your mom gave it to you. She was very stressed when bills arrived. So consciousness knows that. And your brain says, hey, there's already a road where we can flow. And the road is called wall, right? It's called struggle. It's called anxiety in my system. It's called a bunch of stuff. But you will still have a decision to make in that. Okay. And you'll recognize it. Okay, here's a thing that my consciousness, I've occupied this space, but in a different way than I want to right now. So should I start saying wall, wall, wall? Obviously, that what I'm trying to say, should you start saying stress, stress, stress? Should you start expanding further in the direction of the problem you just was presented with in the present moment? Or should you say, hey, that expansion is making me feel bad, which means I'm lying to myself. So the word wall is not mine. Actually, the word wall was a gift from my mom. Right? So you will say rich. And you will say rich. And yeah, you can have the perception, but I feel like saying something else. Well, it's a state you occupy, Neville would say. You can move to the state of doubt very easily. That state always exists. Right? Your consciousness, your little point of view, knows some of it. And all of us we have combined the totality of us. We have created what consciousness knows to be true. So you'll keep on saying rich, and you'll keep on saying rich, and you'll keep on saying rich when you meet obstacles on the road. You feel like saying wall, I know that. And this is actually a solution to many of your questions. I know this is very either low level, below it all, below manifestation, or very high level, hard to grasp how words can translate into how you can create your reality. But I think, and I know for some of you, this will be the key. This will be the key to realizing I'm part-time manifesting. I'm visualizing at night. I'm saying affirmations in the morning, but I'm not knowing it. My internal dialogue is not going in that direction. And I'm very concerned about my problems. And I'm very concerned about my struggle. And I'm actually using a lot of my consciousness, my internal battery, my currency. I'm spending it on my problems, which means you're manifesting it. And I will continue expanding in that direction because it feels true. And you cannot take my problems away, Chris. This is true. This is true, right? And you are in that moment saying, I'm ugly in the mirror. And that's why a lot of transformations, they happen at the bottom. The outer line of your consciousness, where you have expanded so much down that you don't think, I cannot expand further down. Not at this moment, per se, right? So I've said bad so many times that I think it's time to say good. And that will feel better. And you'll say good. And you will escalate yourself upwards again. So sometimes that contrast is needed. Consciousness would like to expand. And sometimes going in a direction is teaching you exactly where you would not like to go. Okay, it's this is burning, I will turn back. That is what happens, right? When you meet bad relationships, bad situations, it's a teachable moment. Okay, my consciousness expanded in that direction, but I don't like it, which means I know what I want next time. So your consciousness is very lovely and very beautiful, then it is actually trying to guide you in a direction of getting you what you want, which means you have to know what you don't want. So, in the beginning was the Word. And let's start today, in this now moment, because every word you say, it translates into every moment, because we only have a now moment. So when I'm drawing a road for you, it's not a road, it's a book. Some would call that the Akasha Records, right? The book of everything, where every action, every word, every intention is just being put down. And you're really deciding your story right now. What will I keep on writing with my intention, my emotions, my sentences? And then you can see, I cannot go in the wrong direction unless I choose to. I maybe don't decide my starting point. We are dealt different words to begin with. It's like a card game, right? Maybe that's random, maybe it's on purpose. My opinion is not needed here. You can have your own opinion. But you start in a place, hey, go expand consciousness from this place. And then you have totally free will in assumption. You have free will in your choice of words. And you have free will in your direction right now. And you can continue, and you can continue. And now we are almost at half an hour. Perfect length for such a beautiful video. I hope it helps the right people. I think it does. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for the, nice people that landed on this channel. Good to have you here. Stick around. Talk soon. Get out of here. Bye.